Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino walked off the job last week due to a disagreement over the Epstein files. $1 million question. Is he going to come back to work? Is he going to resign? Let's talk about it. How's everybody doing? My name is Anthony Brian Logan, and today we got to talk about the Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino walking off the job on Wednesday of last week due to a disagreement over the Epstein files. Now, from what I heard, he cussed out the White House Chief of Staff, Susie Wiles, the Attorney General, Pam Bondi, and just left. He took his ball and went home on Wednesday. Today's Monday, and nobody's seen him. My question is, are you going to resign or not? I don't like this whole thing of, I'm going to just walk out and protest. Nah, listen, in my opinion, you have two options. The first is to go to work and resolve the conflict with your superiors, your co-workers, whatever. The second option is to resign. This whole thing of, I'm going to just go home and protest. I think that's soft. I think it's corny. I don't respect it. And before all this happened, I kind of liked Dan Bongino. I did not watch his podcast. I'm not really a political podcast watcher because I make so much of this kind of content myself, but I liked him when I would see him. But this is making me dislike him a lot. And if he doesn't come forward and say something like now, I'm totally washing my hands of Dan Bongino. But he does have at least one supporter in President Trump because they asked him about Dan Bongino a little while ago, and he said this.
I did. I spoke to him today. Dan Bongino, very good guy. I've known him a long time. I've done his show many, many times. And he sounded terrific, actually. No, I think he's in good shape.
Okay, so that's good. Then you got at least one guy on your side. That's very good that you got Trump on your side. But how about the American people when you just walk off the job like that? I don't like that, and I think a lot of y'all don't like that either. Now, why did he do this? What's really going on? Can we get some more details? They spoke about this on Fox to give a little bit more context as to why he walked off, how he did it, and a few more things.
David, tell us what you're learning here.
Well, Martha, this clearly has been bubbling up over the past few days, but now spilling out into the public between Attorney General Pam Bondi and the Deputy FBI Director Dan Bongino. He took the day off today from work, we're told, because he's so upset about the rollout of the Epstein memo that DOJ released earlier this week. Two sources familiar with the meeting say both were at the White House on Wednesday to discuss a unity path forward with the Trump administration following criticism from the Trump base about a DOJ memo out earlier this week that insisted Jeffrey Epstein's client list never existed and he committed suicide. Now, this after Bondi, FBI Director Kash Patel and Bongino for months said Epstein information would indeed be released in some form. Bongino apparently was so upset, again, he did not come to work. One source says they haven't seen him since Wednesday at work, and he may end up resigning. He was critical of the Bureau as a podcast host before being named Deputy FBI Director. As for Bondi, she's close with President Trump, has been for years. I asked the White House if the president is happy with the Attorney General. I'm told yes, he is. Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, says the president is proud of the Attorney General's efforts to execute his Make America Safe Again agenda, restore the integrity of the DOJ, and bring justice to the victims of crime. The continued fixation on sowing division in President Trump's cabinet is baseless and unfounded in reality. That's from Caroline Leavitt. Her deputy, Harrison Fields, says of Bongino and Mr. Patel, the FBI director, the president has assembled a highly qualified and experienced law and order team.
So that clip right there reveals a potential conflict. Trump is cool with everybody. He's cool with Dan Bongino. He's cool with Susie Wiles, obviously the White House Chief of Staff, and the Attorney General, Pam Bondi. These are the individuals that Bongino has an issue with. So who succeeds in this? I think it'll be Pam Bondi and Susie Wiles and not Dan Bongino. You saw Trump in the earlier clip mention Dan Bongino's show, his podcast. I think that's ultimately what he wants to go back to doing. As I said earlier, he might not be cut out for this role in actual leadership. It's easy to do what I do relatively compared to being in the government, making decisions, doing the hard work every day, long hours, away from his wife, all kind of stuff. And speaking about being away from his wife and long hours, this is what I was talking about a little bit earlier, the video about him saying what he's going through being the deputy FBI director. And again, this is not a response to what happened Recently, it was recorded before that. Check it out.
I gave up everything for this. I mean, you know, my wife is struggling. I'm not a victim. I'm not Jim Comey. It's fine. I did this, and I'm proud I did it. But if you think we're there for tea and crumpets, well, I mean, Cash is there all day. We share it. Our offices are linked. He turns on the faucet. I hear it. He's there he gets in at like 6 o'clock in the morning. He doesn't leave till 7 at night. You know, I'm in there at 7:30 in the morning. He uses the gym. I work out in my apartment. But I stare at these four walls all day in D.C., you know, by myself, divorced from my wife. Not divorced, but I mean separated, divorced. And it's hard. I mean, you know, we love each other, and it's hard to be apart.
But you're doing some great work. You're straightening out the FBI. You're moving buildings. There's a lot of change.
I think Dan Bongino is soft. I think you're soft, bro, because you're talking about, oh, I miss my wife. I'm in these four walls. It's like, all right, man, you complaining about your living conditions. Is that what's going on? Maybe you'd be more comfortable just going back to the house with your wife, doing your podcast, doing speaking engagements, living an easier life. It is easier. I know that if you get into that role of politics, it becomes very difficult. People always ask me, hey, ABL, do you want to be in politics? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do that? Not really. It's not a life that people really want to live. But if enough of y'all asked me to do it, and y'all really behind me, and it was a big thing, like, okay, please do it. I'll do it for y'all. Because at that point, it's not about me. It's not about my comfort. It's about you guys. It's about serving the public. And if I'm called to do it, then I'm going to do it without the complaints. Dan Bongino might not be able to make that happen for himself. So maybe the whole Epstein thing is just an excuse and a way out. Hey, you know what? I cussed out a little old lady, Susie Wiles, and Pam Bondi. I went against the deep state. And now I did all that. I made a stance. And now I'm going back to the podcast. That's my opinion here. That's what he wants to do because he's not really cut out for this. And if he is cut out for this, then again, it goes back to what I said from the jump. You just leaving, walking off. Listen, I was kind of appalled at some of the comments I saw supporting this behavior, just storming off of the job on Wednesday and it's Monday and you ain't came back yet and nobody's seen you. That right there is crazy. I don't even know. When I made less than the current minimum wage at my job, y'all know Old Country Buffet, I made $6.25 an hour starting. After 5 years, from age 17 to 21, I made $8. I never, not one time, did a no-call, no-show. Never. When I was in high school, I missed the bus. I might have been 15, 16 years old. I caught the regular city bus, paid my $125 because I always had money, paid my money on the city bus to go to school. I was late, but I was not just going to not show up to school. I went to my friend's house, tried to get a ride. He had to go to Vote. He wasn't going that way. I couldn't get a ride from him. I ain't going to call my mom or my dad and disturb them at work. I made it happen. I didn't just not show up for school. I didn't just not show up for work. I always come through. Y'all know how I could be sick. It don't matter. I'm going to show up. If I can show up, if I'm not violently ill, I'm going to show up even for a small amount of money. If I don't want to show up, if I don't want to work anymore, then guess what? I need to quit. I need to resign. I need to say, you know what? I'm done. I can't do it anymore. And I'm going to give you some notice. I ain't going to just take my ball and go home because I'm frustrated. That's not what you should do. I think he's soft for that. I don't like that move. And he's probably a good guy outside of this particular role. Go back to your wife, bro. Go back to doing your podcast if you cannot handle what's happening right here in the federal government. But I think I'll leave that right there for now. And what say you? What's your opinion about Dan Bongino's disappearing act? Again, this is Monday, which is July 14th. I think Wednesday, what was it, the 9th? He left and nobody's seen him since. You're the deputy FBI director. You have a job. Bro, if you don't want to do it, then resign and let somebody else step in. I understand you may have a grievance about the Epstein files. You think that they exist. They think they don't. Y'all are squabbling back and forth about it. I get it. I get it. That does not mean don't show up for your job. If it's that bad, go ahead and resign and let somebody else do it. You can't just hold up this job because of your personal grievance with the federal government, in my humble opinion. But whatever your thoughts are, please let me know in the comments below. And that's all I got to say for this video. If you like what you heard, please comment, rate, share, and subscribe. Peace.